Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest episode of the Halo Effect. I am your host, Robert Lockhart. Before we get into it, if you like what I do, like, subscribe, comment, please. Like I said, I love talking baseball. Now, let's talk some baseball. This episode, I want to touch on the acquisitions the Angels made before this season that was going to improve their season. Now, I think the only thing that really improved their season was the fact that Mike Trout played more often. Yeah, he only missed a month because of a bone bruise in his knee. And that's it. All he missed was a month. He still performed poorly, as did the rest of the team. But, again, you're only as good as your coaches. You could be one of the best players in the game, but you're going to get into funks. You're going to start performing poorly. The point of your coaches is to get you out of that funk, get you back to where you were, get you back to the basics of where you were successful. That's the point of the coaches. These coaches were not doing that. For about a month to a month and a half, the Angels were performing very, very well. I mean, they were skyrocketing. They had me questioning myself. You get that? I was actually questioning myself because I thought I had screwed up completely. Turned out, hey, it was just a massive hot streak. So, let's move on, shall we? Now, the big acquisition, the major acquisition that the Angels made this past season that was going to be their number one guy in the rotation. He's your number one. You remember that, Harold Reynolds? Yeah. Here's your number one. This is your number one right here. Really? Did he perform like a number one? No. Not by any stretch. Now, I'll admit he performed better than I thought. Like I said, I thought he was like a mid to back end of the rotation starter. He's not a number one. He is not an ace by any stretch. But I will give him a number two rating. I will put him as a number two in a rotation. He performed pretty well the first half of the season. Let's see. What was his ERA? Oh, yeah, it was just under 4. Just under 4. Not spectacular, especially not what you want out of your number one in your rotation. He had a whip, walks and hits per innings pitched of close to 1.5. Not spectacular, not horrible, but not really good either. Again, not what you look for in your head of your rotation. And last 15 games of the season, he was 4-5 with over a 5.5 ERA. His last 15 games started of the season. That's not good. Again, not what you look for in the head of your rotation. I still say the head of our rotation is Jose Soriano because he's got a better repertoire and he seems to have better command of it. But let's move on. The first big acquisition they made was the trade for Jorge Soler, which I thought was ridiculous. What were you doing? I mean, seriously. Jorge Soler, this is a guy who's struggled to hit his entire career. I mean, so he's got massive pop in his bat. He also can't hit the ball well enough. He's also a terrible defender. Like I said at the beginning of this season, we already have Joe Adell for that. Now, Adell has upped his defensive numbers pretty well, so I give him credit. He did perform better defensively than I thought, but still not well enough. So, what was the idea of Jorge Soler? The idea of Jorge Soler was they needed an influx of power in their lineup because in the 2024 season, they were one of the worst power hitting teams, which is true. That's also because they didn't hit nearly enough to tap into said power. So that was the biggest problem. This year, they still didn't hit very well. They didn't hit well at all, actually, but they did hit for power, at least, a few of them. I think they had 4 guys over 20 home runs. 2 of them over 30. So kudos to them. Again, if you take a look at Taylor Ward, He hit 31, 32 home runs, had over 100 RBIs. Hey, awesome. He also hit 227. Jo Adell, same thing. He had 36 home runs, almost 100 RBIs. He also hit like 233. Not good. Not good. We need to do better. Now, I'm not talking power-wise. I'm talking hit-wise. Get on base. Move runners over, guys. That is how you win games. You can't live and die by the home run ball. Other acquisitions the Angels made. Travis d'Arnaud. Travis d'Arnaud was meant to be a backup catcher and mentor Logan O'Hoppe. Defensively, he did. Offensively, they both suffered. O'Hoppe, I think, hit under 220. d'Arnaud was sub 200. But d'Arnaud served his purpose. He's there to mentor O'Hoppe in the ways of the game and all that. Let's see. Another acquisition the Angels had was Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks, below a 5 ERA was it was good for him. He's had a long career. He never really threw smoke very well, but the second half of the season, he was getting a lot of movement on his pitches, and that's pretty good. I like him as a future pitching coach, but it depends if his career is over or not. We really don't know yet. He hasn't made that decision. So, but he's definitely the kind of guy that you would bring in as a pitching coach for sure, because he knows how to manipulate the ball. Not nearly as well as Maddox, but then again, nobody knew better than Maddox. Then, let's see, from there, Yoan Moncada was not a huge acquisition, but it was a recognizable acquisition. Not bad. He was hurt maybe a third of the season, and, with a knee injury that he had. He couldn't bat right-handed, so he had to strictly bat left-handed most of the time. Again, a lot of the time that he missed could have gone to up in his numbers. And he didn't do too bad, honestly, especially with the way this coaching staff, worked and all that. So I'm more than willing to give Moncada another shot because, let's face it, we need a third baseman, and you cannot trust Anthony Rendon to actually play. Now, if he wants to, play maybe a third of the time because you got Moncada, he's still getting that knee injury, worked out. Could be good by the start of next season, but he could still be suffering from it. So if he needs to bat strictly left-handed, fine, bat strictly left-handed. Then, against tough lefties, you could bat Rendon. Kind of like how Wade Rendon likes to do it. Part-time player, garnering a massive contract. It's about the same as you would be garnering in on the injured list. So if that's what you want to do it, by all means do it. Or you can split time with Peraza, which I thought was a joke of a trade. But, if he's going to be with the team for the next few years, might as well utilize him. But I wouldn't trust Rendon to play third by any stretch. I would release him the way the Angels released Albert Pujols. Just say, sayonara, get lost, here's a paycheck, whatever. Just quit, taking up a roster spot from somebody who deserves it. So, anyway, I'm going to end it right there. If there's any news on the new manager and new coaching staff coming up, I will let you guys know. Until then, I will actually, work on, thoughts of what the Angels can actually do for this next coming off season to improve for next season. So until then, go Halos.